Welcome to Pittsburgh, Grayland Arnold. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers, per reports by NFL Network's Mike they are signing veteran defensive back Grayland Arnold to a contract. But first, before I get into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also, like the video. Now, let's get right back into it. So, this signing actually happened a few days ago, earlier in the week, but I made an introduction with every new player we have gotten so far this offseason, and this is the only one remaining. So here's his introduction to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Grayland Arnold is a former Philadelphia Eagle and Houston Texans safety, and now he signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers at 26 years old. In the NFL, he's appeared in 26 total games, and he started one of them. Most of that time has come with the Houston Texans, however, spending the last 3 seasons with them. He appeared in 8 games last season for the Texans, and he split time between defensive back and also on special teams reps. And also, he finished the season with 18 tackles. For his career, he doesn't have too much production in this league, even though he has appeared in 26 games, as he only has 33 tackles and 1 forced fumble. Per Pro Football Focus, Arnold played 113 slot snaps last season for the Houston Texans. And even though Mike Ruffolo of NFL Network, when breaking this news, listed him as a safety, it's more logical to think of Arnold to become more of a slot depth experienced slot corner for this team if he were to end up making the final roster. At position where the Steelers remain weak, although they just recently signed Cameron Sutton back to this team. So Arnold, he'll compete with undrafted free agent Beanie Bishop and veteran Joshua Scott and now Cameron Sutton. So Arnold, he doesn't have a really good shot at making the final 53-man roster, but obviously with preseason, with training camp, things could change, and also he could be fighting for a spot on this practice squad, or maybe even just show out so a different team can sign him. But looking at Arnold, he actually played the Pittsburgh Steelers last season. Arnold logged 42 defensive snaps against the Steelers last season, in which he recorded 6 tackles, including 1 for a loss. This happened in Houston's blowout win against the Steelers, in which they only held the Steelers' offense at 225 yards of offense and also just 6 points. So, looking more at Arnold, he was undrafted out of Baylor, and Arnold weighed in at 186 pounds and stood at 5'9" at the 2020 NFL Scouting Combine. NFL Draft Combine. Over there, he ran a 4.59 second 40-yard dash time and jumped a 33-inch vertical and a 10-inch broad jump. He signed with the Philadelphia Eagles and spent the 2020 season with the team, in which he recorded, like I said, 11 tackles across 6 games, and including the only start of his career there. At Baylor, he was a ball hawk. Arnold picked off 6 passes during his final season with Baylor, with the team, along with 45 tackles and also 1 sack. He intercepted 7 passes in his college career, so he was listed as a safety coming out and playing the slot position, and he was a ball hawk. Even though he stood at only 5'9", 186 pounds, that was what he was doing in college, and that's what he came into the league maybe anticipating doing as well. Things have not worked out for him in terms of having the same production that he had in college translating to the NFL. Maybe it's because of his size and stature at the safety position, standing at 5'9", but he comes in, and hopefully for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he changes things around and he's able to get back to what he was doing in his college days. The Steelers have an open roster spot, meaning they do not have to make a corresponding move to add Arnold to the roster, and the contract details surrounding him have not yet been announced, but it's probably just the minimum contract for him, because looking at Courtland Sutton's contract, looking at some other guys that they've signed, they all got the minimum, and it was around like 750,000 or like 800 something thousand for the other players they signed. I think Cortland Sutton was like 1 point something, but Arnold comes in. He shouldn't have a huge cap hit, probably none at all, based off it being a minimum contract. But he comes in looking to switch up things in his career, start getting going, and the Steelers get a safety who's a veteran. Also, looking at Arnold, he actually reportedly agreed to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers per Chris Adamski in last season. He said after his first team organized activity session with the Steelers on Wednesday, Arnold said he had verbally agreed to join the Steelers while he was briefly on the market during November of last season. But the Texans hurried work to retain him to assist with their secondary depth. So apparently he agreed to sign with the Steelers, but then things changed quickly and the Houston Texans snapped him up and was able to get him back on the team. So Arnold, in his recent interview, said that I'm here for whatever coach might need me to do, wherever. That's how I built my career, just being a guy who is coachable and willing to do any job, whether it's special teams, inside or outside cornerback, safety, whatever the coach needs me to do, whatever the team needs me to do to win, that's what I like to do. So obviously he has a good mindset, listening to the coach, doing whatever the coach tells him to do, and trying to find a spot on this roster. He was supposed to maybe be a Pittsburgh Steelers last season. He was not, but now he's a Pittsburgh Steeler in 2024-2025 season. So enough with that. Now let me just give you a few things maybe that you wouldn't know about Grayland Arnold. So when you look at Grayland Arnold, he was an elite two-way player in high school, playing both offense and defense. And he actually won offensive MVP in his district, totaling 29 touchdowns. And he largely played quarterback as well, throwing 18 touchdowns for 1,639 yards and 11 touchdowns running. So he was a really explosive offensive player and defensive player. He was also a multi-sport athlete as well. He played basketball, and even though he was 5'9", he was really good at it as well. So he was a two-sport athlete. He finished his sophomore season, including a district MVP nod for basketball as well. So not only was Arnold really good at football, he was really good at basketball as well, and he's just an overall athlete in general, and that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers are getting. But now, before I end this video, let me just give you the outlook that Arnold may have for the Pittsburgh Steelers. When you look at him, he comes in as a player, obviously was a veteran on the Houston Texans team last season. For the last 3 years, he was the veteran depth on the team. And he comes in for the Steelers. They already have a stacked safety position in terms of Minka. They have Deshaun Elliott, and they have DeMonte Casey. The Steelers also have a stacked cornerback room, signing a few players already this offseason to add to the group, like Cameron Sutton, and they already have people like JPJ. They have Rush, they have Corey Trice, and they have Dante Jackson, in which they traded for. So he's going to have a very hard time trying to make this roster, but he comes in, at least he's a veteran on the team. And like I said, he may have a hard time for the 53, but like I said, he could come in and at least fight for a chance to make a final roster spot. But if not, I don't think he'll make the final roster, but he could fight for a practice squad spot on this team. Or he could at least come in preseason training camp and show it for a different team, and a different team may be looking to sign him because of what he's done in the past in terms of being the veteran leadership on the team, but also because of what he could provide to that team if he does show out. So he could fight for the practice squad spot, and we all know practice squad players, they do get elevated to games if there's injuries. Steelers had a lot of injuries at the safety position. All 3 injuries came through Macus, DeMonte Casey, Keanu Neal. They had to sign some random people who didn't play the whole season to come in and fill in. Like Eric Rowe did not play the whole season. To sign him, he did amazing. So practice squad players do get elevated. They do have a chance to show out in games. So that could be a role for Grayland Arnold if he is a Pittsburgh Steeler by the end of all of this. So obviously this is the outlook for him. I'm not expecting him to have a huge role on this team, but this is your introduction to him, who he is, what he's done in this league, but also his past background as well in college and just life in general, and his outlook towards the Pittsburgh Steelers for this season and maybe him on this team. But with that being said, that's the end of this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on Grayland Arnold. Do you think he has a chance to make this roster? How do you feel about the Pittsburgh Steelers signing him? Do you like the signing? Should they have gone a different route with a different person, different position with their roster spots? And also, do you think he has a chance to make this final roster or practice squad in general? And give me your outlook for him on this team. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also, highlights, film breakdown, analysis, practice, everything like that. I cover all, I'll continue to cover all. So until next time, subscribe, like, comment. I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.